Hey guys, back again with you with a new beer dissection video. Been very lucky the last 24 hours. I don't like to use names, but I got some recommendations from a friend who loves his IPAs, especially New England IPAs. So he gave me some recommendations, actually dropped some beers off. This one, he gave the recommendation. My wife picked it up yesterday. This is from the Other Half Brewing Company out of Brooklyn, New York City, obviously. The boroughs there, called Green City. It's a double dry hopped hazy IPA. It is coming in at 7%, so still pretty reasonable. Some of these are approaching 9-10% these days. 7.5 to 10.5 I think is in the double IPA range. So we're kind of sitting just below that. It's kind of a actually they're calling it a double IPA, but I'm a little rusty on my numbers, but I thought it was 7.5, put us in the double range. But again, neither here nor there, no big deal. Remember, dry hopping is at the end of fermentation or towards the tail end of fermentation. They'll do a few charges of hops to kind of increase the hop aroma mainly. I'm not going to go into biotransformation, hop creep, and everything like that. About sometimes you can trigger fermentation again a little bit with the dry hopping, but I've never had a beer from them. Again, this was under a recommendation. I'll just use first names Bobby. Thank you for the recommendation. And other than that, that's it. That's the only other thing on the can. A couple other, they're using Citra, Centennial, and Simcoe hops. Remember, Simcoe kind of gives me that dankness. Centennial's that Pacific Northwest hop. And Citra's another one out there kind of giving you those, obviously citrus notes. And Centennial sometimes will give you some pine, citrus notes, obviously, too. All right, so let's crack this bad boy open. I'm just using my typical tulip pint glass here. Okay. All right, so maybe it starts at 6.5. I'm a little rusty on my Cicerone BJCP numbers. But we're sitting there. They're calling it double IPA. I thought it'd be at 7.5 too, but again, I'm not going to split hairs here. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so I didn't pour it as aggressively as I have been doing recently. Got about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch of nice white head on there. Looking at it, I'm kind of getting distracted by the color of it. You got that typical New England hazy, juicy IPA colors. I think that I did see that they did use some oats. Remember, I say it every time I do a hazy or juicy. A lot of times what's contributing to the haziness besides the hop matter and the polyphenols from the hops, you probably already, if you've watched my videos, you know what I'm going to say. A lot of times I use unmalted wheat, has protein, extra proteins in it, and oats. This one I believe uses oats to help contribute to some of this opaqueness and haziness. Thankfully, it's a nice, darker straw, light gold color. Sometimes, I've had a couple recently that the hops were aging out and it gets a little bit of that brownish tinge, and you almost get that vegetative type of quality to the hops, which you don't want. But this is looking pretty good. Very nice. Okay. And typical for the style. Okay. So let's take a sniff of the aroma. Oh, nice. Very nice. Some citrus. You do get some grapefruit in here, which is no surprise. You can almost get that pithy grapefruit smell. I'm also getting some tropical fruit, some mango, peach, maybe some stone fruit peach. So this is already falling within classic New England IPA, hazy, juicy IPA style here. Sorry, I forgot to say cheers. You're getting, I didn't mention the malt initially, doughy white bread malt, again, standard for New England IPAs. Let me just take another swig here. I'm going out of order of my usual routine here. Let me stick with the malt since I ended with the malt on the nose. Still white bread, dough, flour, very neutral malt. There's quite a bit of carbonation here, medium, high carbonation, which is nice. It's kind of very refreshing. Kind of gave me that little shot of the carbonic bite on my tongue, which in some beers I don't like it being too aggressive. This is actually quite nice and refreshing. On the taste buds here, still citrus. There's a degree of grapefruit there, but it's not smacking me in the face. On the aftertaste, I get a little bit more of the peach. But there is some mango. So whether you want to say it's peach or mango, I think I'm getting more peach on it. I'm not getting any alcoholic warmth, which is good. I don't particularly like alcoholic warmth, but I do pick it up at 7.5%, 8%. This is sitting again at 7%. Drinking kind of nice, which what I like about this too, some of the IPAs I've been drinking recently, they've been giving me that filmy, like the residual sweetness is too high. And maybe, the creaminess from the oats, it kind of gives you that sludgy feeling on my tongue. This is actually drinking quite nice. It's a little bit crisper. I think it's a little more attenuated than some of those other ones I've been having. That's why it's not giving me that residual sweetness and that kind of heavy mouthfeel, sludgy mouthfeel feeling. This is actually drinking very nicely. And again, you definitely get a little bit of that carbonic bite there, which is quite nice and refreshing. Actually, it's probably drinking, even though it's only at 7%, which I say only 7%, it's not, I won't call it sessionable, but it drinks a little bit lighter, maybe closer to that 5%. But very crisp, enough fruit to it, but there is a little balance to it. Like a lot of these New England IPAs are usually just fruit bombs. This, even though it's doughy, white bread, neutral type of malt, there is a little malt there. So it's not like I'm just drinking, orange juice or grapefruit juice or things like that. It's actually quite nice. It's probably one of the better ones I've had recently. So let me just take it on the nose one last time here, guys. Yeah, a little dankness. Remember I said with the Simcoe hops, I get that dankness. I didn't smell it originally. I'm gonna taste it one more time here. Yeah, a slight dankness. Simcoe gives me that. I've homebrewed with that hop before, but dankness, don't interpret that as a bad thing. It kind of, it's a nice compliment to some of the other hops. So anyway, guys, this beer from the other half, Green City. Okay, if you're looking for something like a typical classic New England hazy IPA with nice grapefruit, stone fruit, peach, you may interpret as mango. I think I've had a couple of sips. 1 minute it tastes a little more like peach, one mango. We don't want to split hairs again. But it's not a fruit bomb. It's not like, some of these I feel like I'm just drinking this sludgy grapefruit juice that's been sitting in the refrigerator too long. This has a nice crisp bite to it. Has enough refreshingness. I don't usually consider New England IPAs too refreshing like a good Pilsner or Munich Helles, but this has a decent amount of balance for the style of beer. So let me just take one more swig. Again, it's a nice little carbonic bite on the front end. The fruit kind of hits you, mellows out a little bit. I didn't mention the bitterness. It's kind of moderate to pronounce. You would expect sometimes with the amount of hops they use to be really assertive or highly assertive bitterness. But being a New England IPA, remember, and a hazy, that's usually what keeps it away from being in that West Coast IPA or American IPA category. The IBU units and the perceived bitterness a lot of times is lower, okay, compared to, say, West Coast IPAs and some of your American IPAs. I do not know what the IBU units are, but whatever it is, it's just a nice balance between a little bit of the subtle malt. Again, it is hop dominant, but there is a little bit of a malt backbone there, just very slight, that kind of make it very appealing. So anyway, guys, grading wise with this beer, I really don't find any, if I look hard enough, maybe there's a flaw. I really don't find any flaws with this. In the world of the drinkability, that's how I've been rating beers recently, just kind of overall enjoyability, drinkability. I gotta give it an A+. If I was going to compare it to other New England hazy IPAs, like say from Equilibrium, Hill Farmstead, all the big boys that do these, Yeah, maybe I'll bring it down like, A minus. But, that's, again, I'm splitting hairs a lot today. Very good quality beer. Definitely would have another one. I think there's another one that's pretty popular that they make. Again, this is from Brooklyn. Other half, Green City. Okay, very good. So if you like your hazies, juicies, that don't taste like fruit juice, you get the fruit, and don't get me wrong, but it's not like you got that sludgy, like chewy type of feel. This is actually quite crisp. And, it is, medium to full bodied because of the amount of hops that are being used and the oats and everything. You kind of get that little chewiness from the oats, which is nice, but not that much that you feel like you're drinking like, pudding. All right. So very good, guys. I definitely would keep an eye out. Maybe check the other one my friend mentioned to me next time. That was in the same local beer store here. So again, we'll just say A. Okay. If you want to be critical, you can say A minus, AA, and if you want to say A plus, that's fine too. But definitely better than most that I've had recently, at least. Okay, guys. Till the next beer dissection video. Have a great day. Take care.